Previously, in the last chapter, Estelle, who accepted the deal of the devil to get revenge to her enemies in the surface world, encountered Jewel, her friend who treated her like a sister but betrayed her in the end, punished her as her first ever target for revenge, and sent her soul to Ghana. Estelle takes over Jewel's body and now assumes Jewel's identity. The Garnet family's princess, she adapted to the household, and finds her next target, Hamilton, her cousin brother, and persecuted him. Hamilton, who likes to abuse servants, suffered excruciating pain, and Estelle, who is now Jewel, offered Hamilton a slave contract of blood if he wants to live. Hamilton agreed and is now Jewel's puppet. Days later, Grand Duke Youston investigated the place where Jewel is, because he detected a burst of darkness, and found a trace of its power. Continuing the story, Estelle is now Jewel and Jewel is her. Jewel is being served by Rune, the maid from last night who was abused by Hamilton. Jewel noticed that Rune's fate changed through the Watcher's eyes, because she saved her. A few days have passed, but if you look closely, there's a strange change that people noticed. Jewel's change, she, who was the subject of the maid's horror, was not doing any evil. The maids chattered. They couldn't see the same wickedness in her face, like a changed person. Jewel didn't bother to fix this and just let them be. Meanwhile, there was a maid who thought a little differently. She is Maid Rune. Jewel originally intended to completely erase Rune's memory, to hide what happened that day. But seeing her earnest expression saying that she wanted to serve Jewel resolutely, Jewel took Rune's memory of that day, but kept Rune's gratitude as she wished. Although Rune is not aware of her emotions accurately, she thought that Jewel is originally a good person. So, Rune became Jewel's exclusive maid. Meanwhile, Jewel contemplated preparing to devour Duke Garnet at the Duke's dinner party. It was a good day to take the first step to hit the enemy's neck. The people of the Garnet family couldn't even imagine it. What will happen at the dinner party tonight? What kind of miracle will happen? Tonight, the Garnet will be turned upside down, all according to Jewel's will. Then the voice was heard. It was from Rune, who was hurriedly informing Jewel about Viscount Enrique's arrival. Viscount Enrique, Jewel's father. Rune's eyes were full of tension, because Jewel and Viscount Enrique hate each other. When the two met, a storm came, and the maids were all nervous, but this time, Jewel reacted calmly and went to greet him. Rune was worried because there might be an altercation, because they are not in good terms. Viscount Enrique and Jewel do not share a deeply emotional father-daughter relationship. On the contrary, Jewel of the past put all the blame on her father for her mother's death. Those were the true feelings that Jewel showed Estelle. And at that time Estelle tried to find ways to restore their relationship. But now, she thought that he is just chess piece for literal revenge. That was exactly what she thought of her father. Viscount Enrique's. The butler greeted Jewel with a surprised face. Since Jewel and Viscount Enrique have a poor father-daughter relationship, it seemed unexpected that Jewel came first. Jewel told the butler that her father has traveled a long way, and it is natural for the daughter to come and say hello. The butler gave a hot look, with a "who are you" look. Jewel shrugged her shoulder. The butler knocked on the door and informed Viscount Enrique that Jewel wants to meet him. When Jewel went inside, Viscount Enrique is in the room. Viscount Enrique is a diplomat for foreign affairs, so, even in Estelle's days, they rarely met. She thought that Jewel and him have similar look. But the difference is that Viscount Enrique has a bright soul, the previous Jewel was not. Jewel greeted his father and said that she apologizes for her mistakes in the past, and reflects deeply for being immature. Doubts deepened in Viscount Enrique's eyes. He told Jewel that she should get to the point, because he knows that Jewel won't just initiate something to her father that she hated. Jewel told Viscount Enrique that she would like to say goodbye to her grandfather, Duke Torin, the oldest and greatest of the empire. To give him the last atonement, she thought. She wants to say sorry because he will pass away soon. That was Jewel's request. Viscount Enrique said that they should ask her uncle first, Count Lawton. They went to meet with Count Lawton, who is currently together with his son Hamilton. When the details of Duke Torn became serious, it's forbidden to visit him as advised by doctor. To meet the Lord of Old, you need the permission of Count Lawton, the head family assistant. Count Lawton, the Garnet family's next successor, on the outside. He's really a good person. However, he got his current status by sacrificing humans to demons. Even Estelle of the past was tricked to such deceitful person. Jewel asks Count Lawton if she could meet Duke Torn today. Before the party, the Count refuses Jewel as it will be difficult. Duke Torn is in a coma and bedridden for years. Viscount Enrique stepped in to persuade the Count, but was constantly refused, because the doctor didn't allow everyone to see him. Jewel had no choice. She then acted pitifully and cried, saying that she wants to say sorry for being a spoiled little miss in the past and caused trouble to Duke Torn. Hamilton, who was silent the whole time, also tried to persuade his father, though his face is in a terrified look, and his body is constantly trembling. It can't be helped if he tried to go against Jewel. He will experience excruciating pain. It was a fear to Jewel's soul and also fear of death. At the same time, Count Lawton had no other choice but to give in and let Jewel into Duke Torn's chamber. Jewel finally saw Duke Torn, his grandfather, who was currently lying in the bed. She draws a knife slowly. Jewel watched her grandfather with no pity in her eyes. Duke Torn is in a coma for many years already, and even doctors couldn't save him. Even now, Duke Torn is slowly dying. He was a giant who has enjoyed one era. He was the largest power among the 6 dukes, a man who can do anything in the past. Jewel had to confirm something. Jewel lifts up a knife and plunges it towards Duke Torn. She found out such an amusing result after that. Duke Torn, who was responsible for turning the empire into chaos in the shadows, and committed atrocious deeds for the sake of power, which killed countless innocent people. Due to the war of power, the balance of the 6 dukes and the royal family broke down. Due to his schemes and affected the lives of the commoners, turning the empire a living hell. The devils are already waiting in Gehenna to kill Duke Torn countless times. Jewel offered a prayer to her grandfather, as Saintess Estelle. It was her forte. However, this time it is a cursed prayer. May the devils be damned. Jewel whispers for Duke Torn to be punished severely, suffer the consequences of his actions, and receive divine retribution. Jewel accomplished her goal here and exits Duke Torn's room. Count Lawton asks if Jewel had finished her visit, and Jewel replied that his grandfather was really happy to see her, that he opened his eyes for a moment and talked to Jewel. Count Lawton was bewildered, seeing his flustered look. Jewel finally figured it all out. What she found out in that room about Duke Torn's illness connected the dots. Nevertheless, Jewel replied with a calm expression that the Duke really spoke for a moment, even though it was not true and it's just part of her schemes. Viscount Enrique, who was clueless of the situation, congratulates the Count. Jewel knew that Count Lawton's anxiety is so visible because he is the culprit. Afterwards, Jewel headed back feeling good on what she achieved. While walking, Jewel and Rune was suddenly blocked in their way. It was Baroness Lan, the Garnet family's chief maid, who greeted them in the hallway. She oversees the female maids of the Duke's residence, and at the same time, she was holding as the Duke Torn's nurse. They exchanged greetings and pleasantries, but Jewel was sure that Baroness Lan is here to keep an eye on her. Baroness Lan told Jewel that it is good to keep the enthusiasm visiting and laughing around, but Jewel should mind her conduct more, because she is an Empress candidate. It was a statement of hidden meaning. But she was stopped by Viscount Enrique. Jewel can clearly see Viscount Enrique did not hate her daughter, rather, because he loved her. He was angry and sad at the appearance of his bad daughter. Baroness Lan took a step back and apologized. Jewel smiled and told that it's okay, because Baroness Lan is just concerned about her. Night came. An announcement was put forward in the dinner hall. It was from Count Lawton, who called in Dr. Galton, Duke Torn's official doctor. Galton introduced himself in front of everyone. Jewel can guess what would be announced. The condition of the Duke is getting worse. It will be difficult to wake up, And he probably only has a week left. That was the news. It was a shocking thing, but everyone soon agreed and nodded. Count Laden has been in power for many years, but this time, a voice interrupted everyone. It was Jewel. She indifferently told Galton if that was really the case. However, unexpectedly, the Count had a difficult face and made an excuse. Jewel insists that his grandfather directly spoke to her. Everyone thought that Jewel was joking. One thing that changes after Duke Torn passes away. Count Laden will be the true owner of the Garnet. But Jewel will not let that happen. She reveals to all Garnet family members, direct or indirect relatives, about her discovery. The knife is actually made of mystical metal that is able to detect poison even with a small amount when touched. Basically, Duke Torn is poisoned and Dr. Galton is lying about the sickness. Galton nervously replied that Jewel must be joking.
You dare say I'm joking?
Jewel coldly responded and said that this case is related to the succession of the Duke. If someone ordered to poison Duke Torn all these years, Count Laden might also be poisoned in the same way, Jewel added. Viscount Enrique quickly ordered the guards to arrest Galton and investigate. Jewel added and told that Viscount Enrique should also include the person who poisoned him. The doctor should have only be the one checking the Duke's condition. The poison's ingredient was rare. Another person should be the one who is constantly feeding the poison. The poison's effect will diminish if not taken regularly and mixed with food little by little, so it can't cause an irregular symptom. Jewel turned her gaze to a woman whose complexion turned white and turned like a corpse. It was Baroness Lan, the chief maid, who nurses the Duke every day. Everyone's eyes turned to the person Jewel was looking at. Baroness Lan despaired and shook her head in grief. But to no avail. The knights dragged her away. Now, she will be interrogated in prison until she tells the truth. Silence settled in the hall. Everyone was astonished and looked at Jewel, who even pointed to the criminal at once. Jewel knew that Count Laden is the mastermind of the poisoning incident. But she doesn't have a direct evidence yet, so she will just wait and hinted Count Laden for now. Right now, in return for offering Estelle as a sacrifice, the Count is blessed by the devil and is spending his golden age of life. But that will not be the case anymore. Afterwards, the news of Duke Torn being poisoned overturned the duchy. Everyone paid attention to who actually ordered the poisoning. But Baroness Lan did not speak, no matter how much she was interrogated. While enjoying her ice cream, Jewel thought that Baroness Lan is waiting to be rescued by Count Laden. Duke Torn's death should have been sealed, but Jewel changed it. Baroness Lan can't open her mouth because she knows she'll die. While Jewel was enjoying her sweets, Viscount Enrique approached her. He sat in front of Jewel and Jewel frowned, asking why is he here. Viscount Enrique's eyes become complicated and told Jewel his purpose. He asked Jewel how did she know that her grandfather was poisoned. Viscount knew that something was up. When Jewel wanted to visit Duke Torn, Jewel made an excuse that she heard about the poison from Saintess Estelle. Viscount Enrique was not convinced, but he had no way of finding out the truth. But Jewel coldly told his father that it is not his business no matter how she found out. In truth, she envied the previous Jewel because her original father never gave her love. At the moment, she was tempted. It won't be difficult if she just whisper love as a daughter. This stupid man will soon open his heart. Even now, he wants Jewel to return to his domain to protect her from harm. However, Jewel blatantly refused. She had such a temptation to live quietly, away from the dark schemes of the empire, and receive fatherly love she never had in her previous life, as Estelle until she dies. But that will not happen. Jewel only have 3 years to live before her soul completely perishes. Count Laden also poisoned Jewel's mother to death, so she thought of compensating the old Jewel for borrowing her body by punishing Count Laden. Viscount Enrique was astonished, but Jewel said that she already knew a long time ago. It's a lie. In fact, she don't know what kind of feeling old Jewel had. She don't even want to know, but now She needed something to stimulate Viscount Enrique, even if it's a bit cruel. She told his father that she will not run away like a coward like him. It was like a stab in his heart. Viscount Enrique can't refute Jewel's words. Jewel continued to add fuel. That bowing before her mother's enemy is unacceptable. Viscount Enrique knew the criminal but actually chose to run away. Because of Jewel, he went to manage in the faraway kingdom to avoid the fight for the Duke's succession. But the new Jewel now is different. She then got up and left after telling her father to ponder the real reason why she left him. Later that afternoon, a fancy carriage was traveling. Count Median is in the carriage and is talking to someone. Count Median is in the carriage and is talking to Grand Duke Youston, Duke Torn's farewell service. Youston didn't want to attend this event of the Garnet family. However, upon further thinking, he realized that he might be able to find some clues in this event about dark magic, since all major figures of the Empire will gather upon Garnet Duchy's invitation. They suspected someone, but they still needed to confirm it. Grand Duke Youston replied indifferently, "We have to kill that person." He hated the darkness. Later in the night, Jewel saw many gorgeous carriages approaching the mansion in the distance. While overlooking at the balcony, these were carriages of other dukes who wanted to participate in the Duke's farewell service. Finally, those who she had missed so much that she wants to kill them for 600 years were coming, although it's just been a few years equivalent of time in the surface world. Of course, Grand Duke Youston was also invited. He is not on her revenge list, but he will inevitably become Jewel's enemy because he is of the light and she is of the darkness. The young boy back then grew up to be a magnificent man, she thought. Jewel then thought that she should be most wary of Grand Duke Youston. The Grand Duke of Brilliance awakened the blood of an angel. Youston was Estelle's childhood friend, but he is now the guardian of the Empire that keeps people out of the dark, and he will try to kill her, who is stained with evil. Grand Duke Youston noticed a presence in the distance and looked up. Jewel, who was thinking about Estelle's and Youston's past, was taken aback. The butler then signaled Grand Duke Youston to go inside. Even though it was dark, Jewel thought that their eyes met with each other. Her heart pounded for a moment. It was a faint gladness about meeting a former connection. The Grand Duke Peridot family are incarnations of angels that has been protecting the Empire for 300 years. Had it not been for the incarnations of the Grand Duke of Peridot, the Empire would have long been engulfed by the flood of darkness. That's why Jewel is making preparations. Since she will have to fight him in the future, one of them must die. Jewel went to the kitchen and is making something. Rune was curious about it. Jewel was actually making chocolates for the people who will attend the farewell ceremony. Rune was quite surprised that Jewel learned a cooking skill. Rune gladly helped Jewel in making the chocolates. As they were preparing for the chocolate snacks, Jewel noticed someone behind. A voice called Jewel in the distance. It was from Count Median, who was with Grand Duke Youston. Jewel was astonished by their unexpected appearance in the kitchen. Grand Duke Youston greeted Jewel in a playful manner. He was talking about the chocolate desserts, and Jewel tried to reason that it's her gift for everyone who traveled a long way. However, in truth, that chocolates were made from Jewel's blood. This is a kind of black magic that bears mark of the soul. It contains a powerful witchcraft blood imprint. Jewel told Youston that she made them personally to convey her sincerity to the guests. Of course, it was sincerity for revenge. The imprint was like an area mark. The soul will be contaminated with its own prey, so no demons can't touch it, only Jewel. Grand Duke Youston is in doubt. When he sees Jewel with his own eyes, Count Median calls him out that they should be on their way. Youston apologizes to Jewel since he will be going now. Jewel was alarmed, but thought that Youston couldn't have discovered her true identity. Afterwards, Grand Duke Youston left. Jewel reassured herself that Youston shouldn't be able to find out that she is Estelle, because her darkness powers is greater than him. If Grand Duke Youston ever finds out, it will definitely mess up Jewel's plans. Youston will never know unless Jewel casts black magic and sees it directly. But Jewel thought that she will have to be more careful from now on. Grand Duke Youston is still not sure after meeting with Jewel if she has darkness. Even with his eyes that can see through evil, Youston can't detect any dark power around Jewel. In truth, Youston came here to investigate all women to find that trace of darkness left in a woman's clothes, and Jewel is one of the suspects. He saw that Jewel has no evil darkness in her, but the moment he met her eyes, there is an uncomfortable feeling that something is eerily different. He wouldn't know that Estelle's soul is in Jewel's body. So, Grand Duke Youston concluded to continue observing Jewel. Following the Grand Duke of Peridot family, all important figures gathered tonight. From Duke Amethyst of the Abyss, ruler of wizards in the Magic Tower, Duke Emerald of the Blessed, Flandre, Duke Diamond of the Prosper, Marriott, and Duke Sapphire of the Passion, Radit. Jewel greets her guests who are also her enemies with a smile. Finally, they have met. However, it's not time for revenge yet. Jewel served them her chocolate desserts. Marriott, who was Estelle's double-faced friend, is now Radit's fiancé, and they are soon to marry. Radit was Estelle's ex-fiancé. The audacity of them to get together after sacrificing Estelle. But it's all in the past now. The enemies were gathered in one place, so a strong temptation to kill them was felt. Suddenly, Countess Evelyn, who was Jewel's step-aunt who called her, Countess Evelyn forcefully grabbed Jewel's hand and takes her away. Jewel was confused where she will be taken, and was also worried since she haven't confirmed if everyone had eaten her chocolates yet. Nevertheless, Jewel decided to follow along, since only a very few people can truly hurt her in this world. Jewel was not worried. All of a sudden, Jewel was heavily slapped in the face by Countess Evelyn. It seems that Countess Evelyn is scolding Jewel for something Jewel had done. What kind of plot might Countess Evelyn be talking about? Did she discover something about Jewel? Jewel did plan to have revenge of all the dukes who sacrificed Estelle to the devil, but she didn't make any obvious and noticeable moves yet. Jewel was not in a rush, since she wants them to suffer little by little. But will Jewel be discovered before that happens?
That's all, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting more videos about good reads you may like, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you soon.